Welcome everyone to my pre-raid BIS list for Druid tanks in Classic WoW. This list is specifically tailored for a one-life character, and therefore there's multiple options in each slot based off of survivability and risk versus reward when obtaining these items. I'll be participating in the Road to Ragnaros event on the Fresh Season of Mastery server as a Druid tank, so tune into my live stream at twitch.tv/graysfordays to follow my journey. Starting off with the headpieces, there's 5 headpieces I'm looking to obtain, and I'm really hoping to pick up Ghost Shroud first, which drops off of Engrel and BRD at a 25% drop rate. We won't just be walking into Skolo and Stratholme until we're decently geared and heavily consumed, but once we run those dungeons, I'd like to replace my BRD helmet with one of these. The Bone Ring Helm offers the most stamina off Rattlegore at a 12% drop rate. At the end of Scholomance, Darkmaster Ganling drops Shadowcraft Cape at 11%, which I'd probably choose over Bone Ring just because of its overall primary stats and the 2-set bonus. I'll probably have to fight a rogue for it, but maybe I can be second in line. And Tattered Leather Hood, this is a trash drop in Scholomance. It'd be a great helmet for a Fresh Druid at 60 for Road to Rag. Although I think for this event, I'll looking to beware about 3% hit and focus on stacking primary stats such as Agi and Stam for survivability and give the hit to Hunters and Raid. If there's any question about my ability to generate threat, I'll just pop Manual Crowd Pummelers anytime I tank something in MC, and Hunters and Rogues can reset their threat with Vanish or Feign Death, so I think I'd rather them get the hit gear and me focus on the primary stats a little bit more. The last option is Mask of the Unforgiven in Stratholme at a 19% drop rate. Again, as a one-life tank, I'd rather have more stamina and agility than what this piece has to offer. It'd be better distributed to the DPS in the raid. Now for the neck pieces, we've got 4 options here. One's a world drop, one from BRD, another's a Stratholme quest, and one comes from Lower Blackrock Spire. Starting off with the world drop, I'd imagine Medallion will be prioritized for warrior tanks since they benefit more from the defense stat with block chance. In BRD, Varric's Collar drops at a 12% drop rate from a rare spawn in the coffer room, so this nook will be hard to come by, although I think this is my first choice. Alternatively, Talisman of Evasion drops from War Master Boon at an 18% rate, and the great thing about LBRS is you can run it as a 10-man group with freshly geared level 60s to get some free pieces. Our last option is Will of the Martyr, a Stratholme quest which requires you to get a medallion from one Strat live run, and you're rewarded with a 10 stam neck piece, which will probably be my best in slot behind Varric's Collar for survivability. Now for the shoulder slot. There's 2 options here, and they both drop from Strat live. Wormtongue Shoulders drop off the last boss at a 17% rate, and Shadowcraft Spaulders drop off Cannon Master Wily at a 17% rate as well. Ideally, I'd like to combine the Shadowcraft Shoulders with the helmet for the 2-set bonus, but either one of these shoulders will work, and they're fairly easy to obtain once you start doing Stratholme runs. Let's take a look at the cloaks. We've got options from BRD and Scholomance. My number 1 pick would be the Stone Shield Cloak for its ridiculous amount of armor, which is multiplied by 360% in bear form. The problem is this is a trash drop from BRD, so I'll be depending on RNGesus and my fellow 60 hardcore guildies to farm up a Stone Shield Cloak. And second would be a Phantasmal Cloak, which drops off Jandis Barrow at 9%. Kind of a pain to farm this boss, and I'd like to skip her if I can. It's dangerous getting to her, and I'd rather just spend time resetting the dungeon and going again than killing this one boss. Lastly, the Emperor's Cape, which drops off the last boss in BRD at a 12% rate. This may be a slot that you find a good alternative from a quest or open world rare before you obtain one of these 3 cloaks. Moving on to chest pieces, there's 5 options which will do. Let's look at the first, the Breastplate of Bloodthirst. This requires Skins of Shadow from Scholomance, Arcanite bars farmed in the open world, Abomination stitchings from Stratholme, and the most unlikely drop is a pristine Hide of the Beast, skinned off the beast in an UBRS run, from a skinner with 310 skinning, which needs Finkel Skinner off of the beast before you can even start farming this. So this option's highly unlikely. We may see only 1 pristine Hide of the Beast in our prep for Molten Core, but we'll be running Ubers until we get a Flask of the Titans recipe, which probably drops at the same rate as this hide. More likely options would be the Mixologist Tunic that drops off of Plugger Spaz Ring at 30% in BRD. This is a great starter chest and easily obtainable. Next we have Songbird Blouse off of Harsinger Forreston, found in Stratholme, and then we've got Shadowcraft Tunic, which drops off the last boss in UBRS. I'd probably let the rogues get first since it's their BIS and we have a chance at the Bloodthirst chest. Lastly, we've got our Fire Resistance chest, which drops off Solokar Flame Wreath at an 18% rate. Looking at the bracers, we've got 3 options. Our best in slot and most easily obtainable will be the Black Mist Arm Guards dropping off the beast at 20%. Alternatively, we can get the Shadowcraft Bracers at a 5% rate from Instructor Militia, or less than a 1% chance off the Skolo Trash, as well as Malefic Bracers, which drop off the Trash in Scholomance as well. For the gloves, we have 3 options. Since I'll be prioritizing primary stats on other gear for survivability, it's almost a no-brainer to take the Devilsaur set for the 2% hit bonus and the low risk at obtaining both gloves and legs before I start farming any of this gear. But if you don't have the Devilsaur set yet, you can get your 2 other options from LBRS. Shadowcraft gloves drop off Shadowhunter Voshigan at 17%. And then Slaghide Gauntlets of the Monkey come from the Ogre event, which can be pretty scary for 5 undergeared 5-man groups. I'd recommend clearing this with a 10-man group with 1 life characters. Moving on to the belts, we have 4 options. The first 2 I want to look at are BOEs. Serpentine Sash is a world drop with all the primary stats that you want. And then Shadowcraft Belt drops in both upper and lower Blackrock Spire. This could be used to get your 2-set bonus if you need a second piece. I'd probably still take Frostbite Girdle from Scholomance off Rast Frost Whisper at 16%, but the belt that trumps all of these is the Cloud Runner Girdle off Quartermaster Ziggurat and LBRS. Wildhead says it's a 19% drop rate, but I swear, man, this belt never drops. It's got twice the amount of armor of any of the other belts, making it best in slot. We've got 3 options for legs, and I'll most likely go with the Devilsaur leggings to accompany the gloves, although Warstrife leggings drop off of General Angerforge at 14%, and this could be a good alternative until Devilsaur legs if you're just farming BRD. Lastly, Shadowcraft pants drop off Baron Riverdare at 11%, which could finish off your 2-set bonus, but kind of seems unrealistic to farm this consistently with 1 life characters. The boots, we've got 2 options. Ash-covered boots are going to be best in slot off of Alchemist Galford at 21%, but Shadowcraft boots drop off of Rattlegore at 18%, and honestly, we'll just get the job done. As a tank in 1 life Molten Core, if I had a second Druid get the Shadowcraft boots to drop, I probably wouldn't risk farming for Ash-covered boots if it was just a slight upgrade. The rings are pretty straightforward. We'll be doing Road to Ragnaros on Alliance, so we won't have access to the Horde Armor ring, but we've got the Ring of Protection, which comes from the quest chain Hidden Treasures in the Plaguelands. I'd suggest doing this quest chain with other level 60 hardcore characters, as it's long and dangerous to complete alone. Our second and only other option is Nagel Ring off of Golem Lord Argomach and BRD at a 10% rate. For trinkets, we've got 3 options. Mark of Tyranny comes from the quest General Drakasas Demise, which we won't obtain until we do our first Ubers run. This will be followed up by the Smoking Heart of the Mountain trinket with 150 armor and 7 fire resist. This trinket's kind of tricky to obtain as the recipe drops off a BRD boss at 18%, and the recipe can be traded, but when you craft, the trinket is bind on pickup, so I'll need to level up enchanting to 265 in order to obtain this trinket. Mark of the Chosen is a great alternative before you get these 2 trinkets, and it comes from a quest in Maradon. Let's take a look at the 2-handed weapon slot. You'll always have manual crowd pummelers for specific bosses that have threat drops or can't be taunted, but for damage mitigation, we've got 3 options. The creme de la creme, the Warden Staff. It's unmatched with its 260 armor, 11 stamina, and 10 defense. This weapon's highly sought after, and there's no comparison until Phase 2, and we can do Dire Maul tribute runs for our armor equivalent weapon. Alternatively, we can get the Fist of Omok from High Lord Omok at a 13% drop rate in LBRS, or Slave Driver's Cane from Ramstein the Gorger at a 12% rate. As I was making this video, Blizzard announced that some gear in Phase 1 will be available that normally isn't in Classic WoW, and such as Dire Maul being released in Phase 1, so that means Druids are going to have access to the 2-hander that drops off of the Tribute runs, as well as a lot of other classes wanting some good gear out of these Tribute runs. As a Druid, I'm sure if I don't get a Warden Staff, I'll be doing a few of these runs to get this 2-hander. Let's take a look at the 1-handers. We can do some mixing and matching. First off, we have another world drop, Ardent Custodian. With 100 armor and 5 defense is a great weapon, but alternatively, you'll likely go after the Rubidium Hammer, which drops off of one of the first bosses in BRD at a 5% rate, and this could easily be farmed if you had some help in a 5-man group. Another option is Hurley's Tankard with 12 stamina in the main hand. It drops 26% of the time after summoning him from opening these 3 kegs in BRD. Lastly, for the offhands, we have Tome of Knowledge dropping off the second to last boss in Strat Live, or the Furbolg Medicine Pouch, which can be bought at Honored Reputation from the Timbermaw Hold. You might be able to get use out of the Medicine Pouch if you needed to run away and get a chance to use this out of form. Unfortunately, it can't be used while in bear form, but paired with Hurley's Tankard, it offers 100 more health than the 2-handed Stamina Strength stat sticks that we mentioned earlier. Lastly, because it is the Season of Mastery, the Idols, Librams, and Relics will be in. This is a Phase 5 item, but this will be in Phase 1, so I'm also going to need to pick up an Idol of Brutality off of Magistrate Bartholus in Stratholme. So that'll be the last piece to the puzzle in this Best in Slot gear set. If you guys agreed or disagreed with some of the options that I had, please place it in the comments below, and I hope to see you guys on the next video and in the Road to Ragnaros on my Twitch. We'll see you guys next time.